this presentation is to share over the next 15 minutes a high-level view of a very comprehensive program that was designed to specifically help businesses get back in business, to help our businesses to get back to those levels before COVID-19, to help them to improve their opportunities for growth and prosperity, and in some cases to survive, and in some cases to thrive. And so as a preview to the program, the companies that are served will be getting a business assessment. They'll be getting an opportunity for a cash flow analysis. They will have a tactical action plan tailored to their business for the short term. They will have the ability to get connected to state and federal resources and industry specialists that can help. And all of that at no cost to them as a company. For our elected officials and their staff on the call today, as Lori said, we'll have a 10-minute period at the end to answer questions, get your insights, your perspectives, and then we'll just wrap up with a brief discussion on how you can help. So as we transition from the, we'll call it the virus stage of the pandemic to the business recovery stage, I think everybody would agree there's so much uncertainty. We really don't know just how widespread and how deep the needs and the challenges are for our businesses. Since the NWIRC is exclusively working with manufacturers, let me just share maybe one indicator of what might be in store for this critical economic part of our economy and our industry drivers. McKinsey reported recently and are projecting that the manufacturing industry will contract 7 to 10%. And they estimate that 41% of the manufacturing workers are at risk of employment. And the report didn't stop certainly with the manufacturing sector. The report cited a number of other sectors that had significant projected contractions, as well as high percentages of employee workers that would be at risk. So, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, but one thing I think we can agree on, that it's going to take a real effort to respond to what's out there. We saw, for example, with the SBA loans and with the PPP program and the unemployment compensation program, that if that's any indication of the type of response that might be there for us on the other side of this first stage, I would say that we've got to buckle up, because it's going to be something we're going to have to attack and be ready for. It's going to require us to have an engine that's in place, an engine that is properly tuned, that's firing on all cylinders, and that's running effectively and efficiently. And I would say that our manufacturers will likely have little or no appetite in our businesses for anything less than that. So I would say that we have right now the infrastructure that's in place that you're going to hear about today. We have the response and the delivery components in place and coordinated, and collectively we're really positioned and poised to execute. So with that, I would like to turn over the call to NWIRC staff person and the program manager for this recovery program for the NWIRC, Susan Heilman.
Thanks, Bob, and thank you everyone for attending our call this morning. It's really a pleasure to talk to you. It's a great program. I'm excited to roll it out to you. Before we start, I'd like to stress that this is really a collaboration. This is not necessarily an IRC program, but it's really a collaboration between the partners in our region. And we absolutely could not do it without working together. So I wanted each one of the partners to introduce themselves and just tell us a little bit. I'm going to start with Bob Value. Bob? do you want to, tell the group about Steel Valley Authority? Yeah, you have to unmute.
Yes, I know. I was trying to find a button. Good morning. I'm the Deputy Director of the Steel Valley Authority. And for 20 years, my primary responsibility has been managing what we call the Strategic Early Warning Network, or SOAN for short. The SVA pioneered the concept of what's called layoff aversion. And SOAN has been Pennsylvania's manufacturing layoff aversion program for 30 years and another year, so 29 years. The program basically provides specialized turnaround consulting services to distressed small and middle market manufacturing firms. These services, just like a private sector firm, include financial, operational restructuring, ownership transition, and unlike most private sector firms, we do a lot of market and revenue diversification work as well. We've got 5 offices statewide, including Erie, and then our headquarters is down in Pittsburgh. Between the two, we would basically be servicing the area that we're talking about here. During that period, we've been in about 1,300 engagements with distressed companies, and last time I checked, we were somewhere around 31,000 manufacturing jobs that we've saved over those years.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate it. Also, Deb Lutz works with Bob Value, and she covers the Erie region. Deb, would you like to say hello?
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Nice to be with you.
Bev Rapp is our other partner. Bev is with Rapid Response.
Good morning. I work for Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry Rapid Response. We're part of a layoff aversion team with the Steel Valley Authority and many other partners. We also provide workforce development solutions to employers, whether they're in a decline or if they're hiring. So Rapid Response is a great tool to reach out to when employers are struggling so that we can help them with workforce needs. And we do outplacement and make sure that we coordinate with the career links, and we make sure that we work with all the different service providers to try to get that business back on track and get them growing again.
Thanks, Bev. And last but certainly not least, we have Maggie Horn and Cindy Nellis with the Small Business Development Center. Cindy, do you want to go ahead and start first?
Sure, thanks, Susan. So the Small Business Development Center, we are 2 centers, a part of a statewide network of 16 centers. We are here to provide one-on-one business consulting services as well as training to businesses all across the state. I cover 10 counties, and those counties are in the Northwest and the North Central region. So I cover quite a bit of the Northwest IRC territory, but we're here to provide the training and consulting assistance to really any business in our area. So a little bit about us.
Thank you. Maggie?
And the Gannon Small Business Development Center covers Erie, Crawford, Mercer, and Warren counties. So we work very often with many of our partners, and certainly thankful to be doing this particular project with the partners on our call.
Okay, thank you all. Sincerely appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that I can provide the presentation. So the COVID recovery program, as I said earlier, was really a collaboration. It started when Bev Rapp, Deb Lutz, and I all came together and said, we need a way with all these businesses that need assistance with recovery. We need a way to provide our partners with a way to differentiate as we're out meeting with companies where they might be able to be referred to. Obviously, we cover a large territory. As you can see on the map, the Northwest IRC covers 13 counties. Each one of our agencies also covers that region, and each one of our territories is just a little bit different. But the goal of the program is really to provide accurate and timely assistance to help our businesses, all businesses, get back into business. So the companies, as Bob mentioned, will be assessed and referrals made depending on where that company is at assessment. It really answers 3 questions. There's our 4 core partners, the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry Rapid Response, Steel Valley Authority, the SBDC, and the NWIRC. And the 3 questions that it's answering, as you can see right there, is what does the business need to begin to rebuild or reopen? How do they regain strength and stabilize? And how can the businesses grow and sustain? And as you heard when each one of us mentioned what we do, we're all out working with businesses, but we're not alone. Our other partners within the Northwest and North Central Prep region are listed on this slide, whether it's Ben Franklin or the WIOA boards, the Career Links, the local development districts, Northwest Commission or North Central Planning and Development, our chambers, our Governor's Action Team, and certainly yourselves. We consider partners as part of this program. So initially, from outside looking in, sometimes people seem to think, well, you're all out there doing the same things. You're meeting with the same companies and providing the same services. Those of us that are within the system understand how we're different, but this is really just a way to differentiate that more. So when we're talking about a business that has been shut down or that is on the verge of shutdown, that maybe has a lot of employees that might be losing their jobs to layoffs, where does the business need to begin to rebuild or reopen? What kinds of services might be provided? That's where Deb Rapp would come in. Rapid Response Program, this is a great fit for what they do. Then where does the business regain strength and stabilize? As Bob Value mentioned, perhaps this is a business that's financially distressed, as right now many of our businesses are. They need to regain their strength, they need to restabilize. There's different services that they might need beyond just pure survival. So Steel Valley Authority and the SBDCs would work with companies sort of in that space. And then, of course, how can the business grow and continue to sustain? Particularly for those businesses that are in the medical industry or medical supply chain, some of those businesses, while they are few, are doing very well right now. In fact, they sometimes are having a hard time keeping up. So there's different services and programs that could be available for them. Each one of us overlap a little bit, but we each know exactly what the other one does. So we often tell companies, don't worry about who do you need to contact first. Contact any one of us and we'll be able to provide you with the right referral, put you in, as Bev often says, there's no wrong door to come in, put you in touch with the people that you need to talk to. So that's really the basis of this program, is really a great collaboration between all of our businesses and our agencies. The actual process for the recovery program, and I think it's important to note that this package is no-cost services from any of our agencies. Essentially, we will go in and do a business assessment. It's a 15-question assessment, very similar to what our Engage partners do. And we have actually asked them to help participate in the program as they are out meeting to companies. If they'd like, certainly use the COVID recovery program assessment. But we're going to start with a business assessment. Let's evaluate where the company is. From that point, we're going to do a cash flow analysis, because that's likely to be one of the most critical aspects of where a company is right now. Is what does their cash flow look like? What do their financials look like? From the Northwest IRC, for many companies, that's a higher level. How much cash do you have going out? How much do you have coming in? What does your supply chain look like? Have you talked to your customers, your bank? Have you talked to your key employees? Who are those agencies that you cannot afford to lose? Steel Valley Authority, on the other hand, because they are very focused on companies that are in financial distress, As Bob said, they are often very in-depth financial analysis, looking at, does the company need to restructure? What are the ratios? What is their profitability? You know, how are they fitting in within the industry? Much more in-depth analysis of the finances. And the small business development centers actually run that sort of entire gamut, depending on where that company is, from high level to low level of financial analysis. After that piece is completed, then the company will move on to a tactical action plan. And this is really just looking at, okay, based on the analysis of the business, based on your cash flow and where you stand right now, and here's the background of where you're at and what your critical issues are right now. Let's work together with your management team. Let's do a SWOT analysis of your company. Let's look at your market. Let's look at your competitors. Let's profile your ideal customer, and then work together to identify what kinds of strategies did you have in place or you might be considering. And then based on all of our expertise with working with a number of companies over a number of years, be able to come back to them with final recommendations of, okay, here's the basic premise of where you're at right now, and here are the recommendations that are coming out of the program that we believe that you should implement to get back on your feet, to either reopen your doors, to regain stability, or to further grow. And that's where our referrals will be going out to various partners within the program, to consultants that might have expertise in a particular area. The referrals that come out of this program then, out of the business assessment, cash flow, tactical action plan, will be direct delivery services. They could be referrals to partners that have no cost. They could be referrals to partners that might have low cost, or they could be referrals to consultants that we might need to bring in that have a specific expertise for that particular company. What we're looking for are, what are the services and programs that are in place right now that really have the biggest impact to the company, that are going to be able to help them turn around. So I've just listed a variety of the programs and services that are offered across all of our agencies. We don't all offer all of these. There are various partners that have expertise in certain areas, and there are various programs that, my personal opinion, having worked with companies for about 15 years, I believe that there's going to be certain areas that will be able to help a company more than others. For example, those that are highlighted on the screen in bold, either customer diversification or lead gen services, evaluating their debt load or restructuring their financials, looking at their markets, looking at technology, looking at whether they work with government. In my opinion, these are the areas that I think likely will be most critical to businesses sort of off the get-go in order to get them going again. So once those are in place, once we've assessed the state of the business, once we've analyzed their cash flow and developed the tactical action plan, it is really just following the traditional plan it, do it, check to see how we're doing, and then make adjustments as we go forward. You know, like all of the changes with the COVID issues, pandemic itself, it seems to be changing on a daily basis. Our goal for these companies is to help them settle, decide on a plan, work towards that plan, and then structurally make adjustments as we go forward to give them assistance in that direction to help them get back on their feet. The front end of this is being assisted. Brad Lashinsky is on the call. He is the director for the Launchbox, which is powered out of Penn State Du Bois. Right about the time we were rolling the program out, we became aware that a survey went out in the North Central region asking a lot of the same similar questions. We talked to Brad. He said, yes, that actually came out of a request from one of his county commissioners asking if they could provide detailed information on how businesses have been affected. We then followed up and said, could you do this for the Northwest region too? Because the data from that will give us a great starting point. We know there's a lot of companies affected. You know, this will allow us to be able to tap into that information and have a direction to go as we start. So in the North Central region, there were 6 counties covered. They had about 250 responses, of which 45 were manufacturers and 202 were non-manufacturers. The Northwest region survey just started yesterday, and we have so far 55 surveys completed. That will be open until May 27th, as it indicates, and there is the link. So if you are working with any companies and we will be sharing this information, you can certainly send that link out. We want to stress that the program itself and the work that we're doing, whether it be through the information that's going out in Launchbox, or as we go out and meet and assessments are done with our engaged partners, or whether we're doing the assessments ourselves, it's very important, and we definitely understand we don't want to duplicate other services. There's no reason to do that. Let's just take the information that's already been developed and presented and integrate it with what we're looking for to be able to best help the company. All of the information and forms that have been developed can be uploaded into Executive Pulse, which of course is our statewide program for all partners that are working with companies, and we'll give the Department of Labor and Industry and the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development access to that information in real time as it's uploaded. This is just a beginning sample of that business assessment. As you can see, we're asking a variety of different questions to get the background on the company. And we asked some questions that were specific to the COVID-19 pandemic, such as, you know, have you discussed your funding options with your current bank? How was your supply chain disrupted? And as you can see from question number 9, we actually feel that this is going to be a major issue as companies move forward, perhaps not only just in this go around, but if there is a second wave as we approach fall of the pandemic that is going to be hurting our companies, we want to be able to put plans in place, and we want companies to be able to look to see, okay, well, if I've already been bringing in raw materials from outside of our area, is there anyone inside of our area that can provide that same either material or service available? So the industry partnership groups are really working on developing this business-to-business supply chain database. Thus the reason for our question, while it's not developed yet, if we're going to go out and we're going to be talking to companies, let's get a better feel for what companies are interested in participating in that supply chain database. Lastly, there's all of the contacts for each one of our agencies. We tried to be very comprehensive, identifying not only the person and their contact information, but the counties that they cover. And then I guess our ask from you is really as you're out meeting with companies and as they approach you about different areas their business has been impacted, please feel free to share the information on the COVID recovery program with them. While we all work with manufacturers, we obviously identified the fact that there's going to be many non-manufacturing companies affected as well. And so the rapid response works with companies across manufacturing and non-manufacturing. Steel Valley Authority and the Northwest IRC are more specific to manufacturing. The Small Business Development Centers, while they do work with manufacturers, for the purpose of this program, we have requested and they have agreed to work with the non-manufacturing companies, because as we know, you know, it's not only our manufacturers. Look in your communities. It's all of the businesses, the corner grocery store, the salons, the professional offices, you know, they have all been affected. And so we want to be able to our best extent possible serve as many companies as possible.